Welcome to Jerry and JRob.
Hey everybody,
Jerry and JRob show.
the Jerry and JRob show.
I like that. I put you on that side because it's Jerry then JRob.
Right.
It's a matter of first importance of second and first.
Well, I kind of like sitting on that side, but
No.
I gave you preference today.
You want to change the name?
No.
Oh.
I like it that way.
All right. Well, welcome. What is today? What's the date?
What is today? I'm looking at my watch like it's going to tell me. April 3rd.
April 3rd. He might tell you. Might be a nice watch. All right. Well, welcome. So today we're going to be talking about some different things as this show goes. It's kind of a variety. We like cars. We like coffee. We got some coffee today from Mojo. We've got
Mojo's Coffee and Burn It.
Well
My
done.
favorite coffee.
It actually smells pretty good right now. It's a little hot, a little flaming, so I'm going to wait just a minute. In addition to coffee, we like I said, cars. We like doing some different things. You drive around in what year Mercury is that?
Well, it's a 1950 Mercury. And we got it out, worked on it yesterday, and got it running. It's running like a champ. And we're planning on putting it in the parade next Saturday
Sounds
for our
good.
local Bluebonnet Festival event.
Very good, very good. Maybe I get in with you. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to bring the Viper. I'm gonna get.
Servicing you for all your medium and
If they'll let us be in it.
But we can't act a fool. We can't do donuts or anything.
No burnouts, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. We'll see how. This might be my only showing. We'll see. See what happens. All right. And in addition to that, we like hot sauce. We like talking about world events and things that are happening locally and
Right.
abroad. And just a little short snippet about us. Jerry here is a pastor of Main Street Baptist Church. He is also a health coach and doing some stuff like that. He's actually got a pretty good story about that, and we'll get into that later on. I'm also a health coach, so part of our show and our material comes from the endeavors we have as health coaches and helping others and so on and so forth. So that's it, right?
You also build some houses,
I do build houses from time to time,
and I drive a truck.
yeah, we got a kind of entrepreneurial.
Man, we're all over the map.
There's no map that can contain us right now.
The
So-
awesomeness is too great.
That's right. So in the midst of all this, we like to do a lot of stuff about some positivity, some positive thinking, not just because it sounds good and feels good, but because there's actual value in it. There's value in being grateful. There's value in helping others and
Right.
putting your efforts into that stuff, not just doing it for the sake of others to see you, for lack of better terminology. So one of the things we focus on when I'm dealing with let's say one of my clients, or I'm talking to somebody that's got some goals, maybe some big goals they want to get accomplished. One of the things we talk about is their why. What's the why? So you've got a good handle on that. What is a why? What is a why for somebody?
Well, I mean, your why is the reason behind what you do, or the reason behind what you do, why you do it.
Okay.
And so, one of the things that I struggle with, and it's part of the reason why I became a health coach, is I struggle with my health. And so, trying to help others helps to keep me accountable.
Right.
But I don't always keep a good grip on that, and so I have to keep going back to the reason behind why am I pursuing this goal? Why am I trying to get healthier?
All right. Well, let's stop right there for a second. So everybody looking at you right now, and you just said you had trouble with weight and some things like that in your life, right?
Right.
So for those who don't know you, tell me where you started and where you are today, health-wise.
Well, I'm not where I want to be.
Well, that's okay.
But yeah, that's okay. I'm working on it. And so, but where I started was 426 pounds. And to the place where I couldn't hardly move. I couldn't hardly walk. I did, but at the end of the day, I hurt so bad
Right.
that I really couldn't enjoy life. And not to mention, I'm a preacher.
Right.
And so, I've kind of, this is my own personal experience and my own personal observation is that, you know, as a religious man, there are some things that I abstain from, you know, alcohol, drugs, and that.
Right.
But I have, for some reason, food is okay. And so I just don't preach on gluttony, and I eat whatever I want to eat, right?
Right.
And I go overboard.
Right.
But
you and every other preacher out there.
yeah,
right?
yeah. But you know, it doesn't bring honor and glory to God, and which is something that I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to be spirit filled and not pizza and cake filled. You know,
Well put.
fried chicken filled.
That is well put. But that's an excellent point, right? Because you and I have had that conversation, off mic before about, as a believer, which I am, and I go to your church, and we're on the same lines philosophically and religiously and all those things. But that's the one thing I've always noticed is ever since I was a little kid in church is, it's okay that we don't do anything. We don't go to bars and we don't go do this and that. But the Fuji Grand buffet, that's okay. And I think there's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of the churches and preachers that are missing out on a blessing because they fall into that. And that's the one thing you can do that nobody's going to call you out on.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. So the why we're doing anything for big goals, that's that why is super important, because if you don't have the why in place, the willpower is definitely not going to sustain you, right?
Not
Doesn't
at
matter
all.
what it is. It doesn't matter if you're building a business, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to develop relationships. That willpower is going to run out in short term, and according to most people, it's like a week or two, right?
If you're trying to reach a community, you're trying to spread the gospel, you're trying to build a church and a ministry. I mean, it's very important.
Right.
In all of those aspects, really, in everything that you do, there should be a significant reason that behind it that keeps you motivated and keeps you able to overcome temptations, overcome setbacks, and to be an overcomer and achieve those goals.
Right. So what are some of the things that you do personally that help you to stay on track? What are some planning methods or what do you have in your pocket that keeps you from doing some of the things you don't want to do?
So that's a good question. And it's kind of one of those things that, I have learned it helps me in all the different areas and aspects of my life, whether it's with my home life, with my family, and or at work or at church, and certainly with my eating. Having a schedule is very, very important, and being able to stick to that schedule. Now, you're not always able to stick to it because this pops up or that pops up, but you can kind of control those pops up pretty well if you manage the rest of your time,
Right.
and setting yourself up for success. One thing that we would never tell somebody who struggles with alcohol: don't go down the alcohol aisle at HEB.
Right. Right.
All right, well, I don't need to go down the Little Debbie aisle at HEB.
That's right.
That's not a good idea.
Right, right.
I don't need to have it in my home. I need to have healthy foods in my home so that I'm set up. I've gotten back to packing my lunch and foods during for my daytime.
Right.
So that I don't stop at the gas station.
Right.
And grab my corn dog and bean burrito that's been sitting there for hours.
Right.
And is barely edible, but I mean, it's there, and I'll get it.
That's right.
So those are very important things. And then always, I always bring it back to, okay, well, when I feel like going off plan, going off program, getting away from what is going to help me to get to my goal, having that why that we're talking about.
Right.
Okay, so I look at something. As a matter of fact, I did it today. I went to Walgreens and to pick up some bug spray and a few other things. And that Easter candy's sitting right there.
Come get me.
Yeah, just pick it up.
Got my bow on in my yellow basket.
Nobody's. I mean, it's just you. Nobody's gonna know,
Yeah.
and it, it tastes good, and so grab it. And while I was standing there looking at those Cadbury's mini eggs, I had to say, is that going to get me to a place of healthy body, healthy mind,
Right.
and be able to do things. And we made mention this last week. I'm a grandpa now.
Oh, now you're not smiling. Now you're making boo-boo faces. Oh, you goody dear.
That's right.
And so,
Congratulations, by the way.
yeah. So whys can change. You can add new whys. Whys develop, and so I have this new why in my life of granddaughter that I want to be around for, and I want to be able to do stuff with.
Right.
So I can say, all right, do I want those peeps, which are nasty anyway, but I mean it's sugar, right? So do I want these peeps, or do I want to be able to run around with my granddaughter when she
Absolutely.
starts moving around in a couple
Absolutely.
years? you know?
Absolutely.
Or when it comes to the ministry side of it, I've got to lead singing sometimes and preach, and I want to be a good old Baptist preacher. I want to belt it out there, But if I can't breathe and I'm
Right.
sucking wind, then
Right.
that's not going to help me get to my goals.
That's right. Right. Well, something you mentioned earlier, you mentioned your weight previously when you started, but you've lost a lot since then. Correct?
Right.
How much have you lost so far?
At one point I had lost 100 pounds.
100 pounds. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
But things happen, right?
Right. Life happens. Bad choices happen, and time goes on, and you think I'm good, and then you look back up and you've gained some weight back, and you've got to revisit those whys, reinstitute those things that you had in place to help you,
Right.
and move forward.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's, that's the driving force behind all that stuff. So, that's something I would encourage you guys as well. If you've got, like I said, some big goals, even if they're not so big, if you don't have that why in place, you can expect to run out of steam in a pretty short amount of time.
Right.
That's why probably 70% of our New Year's resolutions never make it to February. So that's something that's super important to hang on to, is to come up with your why. Make sure it's something important and not something superficial.
Right.
Not something that's plastic and not gonna, it sounds good in your mind, but isn't really a good reason. But yeah, no, it's a phenomenal story. I mean, that's a ton of weight. That's a ton of load off, literally and not literally. And so well done.
And the great thing about it is it doesn't just apply to weight loss and trying to develop a healthy body.
Right.
I mean, you need a why if you are in ministry. You need a why if you are, if you have a family. You need a why if you're trying to build a business. You need a why if you're trying to prosper financially.
Right.
I mean, you just need a substantial reason that will keep you online, on track, to move forward and accomplish those goals that you're setting for yourself.
All right, right. Or otherwise, the first easiest excuse that comes floating by is going to just grab you, and you're gone, and you're done, and you're on to the next thing.
Sure.
Yeah, well done. All right. Well, the only thing I wanted to add to that, in addition to the why, is the circle. And we talk about our circle of influence, our circle of friends. Being in the preaching world, that's a little bit different than just everything else. You're very discerning about who you talk to and who you would open up to, because you got to stay protected. You can't just adhere to any kind of ideal or policy that comes around you. But with that said, who you surround yourself with, who you talk to, who you depend on, is really super important.
Absolutely.
I think it's very common for people to adhere to drama and problems and things like that, or they think they can fix a problem, and they get connected to people like that, and then the next thing they know, they've done nothing with their life. They're doing nothing that's positive, nothing that's coming of it. I've made it a goal of mine to make sure that when I'm trying to do big things in life, that I have people like you, some other folks that I know very well, that are big thinkers, big movers, and they don't have time for the stuff that most of us get caught up into.
Right.
And that's really super important for success, and to move on to some of those bigger goals that you want to reach. And when I say big goals, I mean big goals. I don't want to just get a pay raise or get a decent job or things like that. I want to do some pretty substantial things, and that's not based on financial gain necessarily, but it's just things that I want to get done that I think I can do. But some people got to hold me accountable, and that's who I want in my corner for sure.
Yeah. Well, the Bible has a lot to say about our associations,
Right.
and how important that it is that we, associate ourselves with the right people, with the right-minded people. There's a story in the Bible about a man by the name of Amnon, who thought about doing something he shouldn't have done, and would not have. But the Bible says, but he had a friend whose name was Jonadab, and Jonadab was a very subtle man, and because his influence in Amnon's life made him a subtle man, a trickster, and somebody who thought he could get away with doing something he shouldn't have done. And so associations are very important.
Right.
I saw a quote the other day on social media that said, hang around 5 millionaires and you'll become the sixth.
Right.
Hang around 5 drug addicts and you'll become the sixth. It's
Right.
all about who you hang around,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
And so I love to be around positive people. I love to be around people that are uplifting and encouraging, and people who are working toward their goals and
Right.
trying to do something in their life, trying to do something for the Lord.
Right.
Those are all very important things to me. So you bring up a good point.
Back at you. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. You guys have a great week, and we should have another one up next week, I believe. So,
I'm looking forward to it.
all right. Let's do it.